Hi, my name is Christine, and I'm here today to talk to you about mental well-being and mindfulness. Mindfulness is a tool that anyone can use to immediately impact their mental well-being. And after prolonged use, mindfulness actually has the ability to change the brain. Isn't that remarkable? And before we can talk about mindfulness, I really would like to start actually by talking about determinism. So what do I mean when I use the phrase determinism? And what I mean by that is something completely out of your control determining your life path. And these philosophies around determinism have been around for thousands of years in many human societies. So whether we look, back to ancient Greece, where the belief of humors, fluids in the body determining personal character, or whether we fast forward to more modern day thinking around determinism, genetic determinism, behavioral determinism, intellectual determinism, they all have the same underlying message, and that is something out of your control is going to determine who you're going to become. I would argue that this concept, this theory, this philosophy could also be applied to the female experience. So the idea that because you're born a female, you have a set life path towards certain things or to not be successful towards certain things. And I want to ask people in the audience, can anyone think of any deterministic phrases towards the female experience? You're not good at math because you're a girl.
Throw like a girl.
Throw like a girl.
Be polite.
Be polite.
Cry like a girl.
Cry like a girl.
That's not ladylike.
She's so bossy. She's not ladylike. She's out of control. Okay, so you guys get the picture. You know, we could also think of it as you're a woman, you're meant to have children, you need to fulfill your biological destiny. You know, there's all these different thoughts that around female determinism that we're raised with. And the reality is none of it's true. So with this concept of determinism, it's really complicated because you could be born a female and not want to have children at all. You could be born a female and not feel that you should have been born a female. So you can see how complicated this can be. And these theories are long-standing, and the reason for that is because in early childhood, the brain is the most plastic. And it is in this part of life where we're receiving consistent messages from mass media, from our community, from our upbringing, whether intentional or not. These messages are consistently coming towards us as we grow. And it forms our brain architecture. And it then impacts our mental maps. And what do I mean by mental maps? So mental maps are how you see the world, how you interact in the world, and how you see yourself within all of that. So you can see how complicated this can get, right? And the reality is a lot of these theories have been disproved by modern research. I'm recently taking a course through the Merit Center in Ontario, Canada, around self-regulation, and a lot of this stuff is being disproved. But again, because of this process, these philosophies and ways of thinking are ingrained in us, and they become ingrained in us. So then, for those of us who have an added layer on top of that of mental illness or mental challenges, it's complicated even further. So mental illness is a complicated piece. My family, depression and anxiety run in my family. And I need two hands to count the number of people who are affected on a daily basis by depression or anxiety. My grandmother, for example, she lived her life, 30 years of her life with clinical depression. It was really difficult watching that. And she just passed away last February. And at her funeral, the common theme and the common comment was, oh, thank goodness she's finally at rest and she's finally found peace. And I really struggled with that because I thought to myself, wow, that's so heartbreaking that people in our society carry these burdens with them throughout their entire lives. And it doesn't have to be like that. I remember actually thinking in university during a particular difficult moment for me with depression, and thinking, well, what's the point in trying? My grandmother has depression, it runs in my family. I'm destined to carry this, I'm destined to become like that. And that's deterministic thinking at its finest, right? So you may be sitting there thinking, okay, well, where's the hope in this? And there is hope. And you may be thinking, well, where do we go from here? And my answer for you are two things, really: neuroplasticity and mindfulness. And the two things, when I learned about these two concepts, I became so inspired. And this quote up here that I have on the screen is from Stuart Shanker, and it really inspired me. It's applied here to a different context than he used it, but I became determined to overthrow my own deterministic thinking once I learned about these things. And I'll tell you a little bit more about them. So neuroplasticity, we talked about it a little bit earlier in this talk. During the early years of life, the brain is the most plastic. However, the brain is plastic all throughout our lives, in the middle part of our lives, and even into our golden years. So what that means is you have the ability to change your brain and change the wiring in your brain. And I mean, that's quite remarkable. There's lots of research out there about this. And one of my favorite places to read about this is and the effects of mindfulness on the brain and other well-being activities on the brain is the Center for Healthy Minds, the University of Wisconsin-Madison. A lot of amazing research there has influenced my thoughts and teachings around this. I was trained by Mindful Schools, a lot of great research going on there as well. So what is mindfulness, you might be thinking or asking yourselves, because maybe you don't know. So mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. So this is a quote by Jon Kabat-Zinn, best known for his work in mindfulness-based stress reduction. And mindfulness started off in healthcare, moved into mental health, and is now moving into the education world, which is where my passion lies. So really, really exciting stuff. 30 years of research behind these types of activities. And the way that mindfulness works to rewrite hardwired pathways in the brain is through working on 3 skills. The first is concentration power, so your focus. The second is sensory clarity, so having clear, sharp senses. And the third is equanimity, which is balance of the mind. So through working and building up these skills, you're creating these new positive pathways in the brain. And what that enables a person to do is a number of things, but one is create a space of pause. So when the average person is hit with a stimulus, they react. So a very reactive process. After consistent use of mindfulness, the brain actually is able to experience a pause. You're able to create a space before you react. So you're hit with a stressful moment or you're hit with a stimulus, and you're able to pause and choose your response. So that enables a person to reframe their experiences and choose how they want to direct their life, which is very powerful when you think about it. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, I don't really have time to add something into my life right now. My life's pretty busy, but I'm going to assure you that you actually can incorporate this into your life. And up on the screen here, I have a few images to inspire you for how you don't have to actually do anything extra. You just have to shift your attention to the present moment and focus on what you're already doing. So for example, when you are having your morning cup of tea or coffee, putting that mug in your hand and feeling that warmth radiating into your fingers, taking note of how it makes you feel, taking note of the smell of whatever you're drinking, kind of waft it into your nose, and thinking about all the people involved in getting you that beverage to your cup every morning. So taking those moments to really pay attention to what you're actually doing. So when you're walking to and from work, for example, that could be just focusing your attention on the sound of your feet on the pavement. Lots and lots of different options to weave into your life. I'd like to now do another mindfulness activity, a couple of other mindfulness activities with you, and I'm going to have some help here to get a chair on the stage. Thank you, Joanna. The first thing that I would like to do with everybody is mindfulness using sound. And I've brought an instrument to help us with this today. You do not need an instrument to do this at home. You can use any sounds in your environment, but this was fun and nice and easy to bring. So what I would invite you to do now is sit up nice and tall in your seat. This is called Mindful Bodies Pose. And just root your feet into the ground. And just place your hands on your thighs. And take note of the temperature of your hands sitting on your thighs. Notice your sit bones on the chair. And just scan your body for any points of tension that you can release. And this activity we're about to do is really, really great to do before bedtime when your mind is racing. And you need some time just to focus in and quiet your mind and rest. So what we're about to do is listen to the sound. So you're using your ears. You're not going to focus on your breath, just your ears. And just listen to the sound until you can no longer hear it. I invite you to close your eyes. If that, you're also welcome to just stare a few feet in front of you with the soft gaze. And opening your eyes. And the next activity I'd like to share with everybody is something called anchor breathing. And anchor breathing is a great way to focus your attention on your breath and helps the mind kind of stay in one place. So I'll give you 3 locations on the body to help with anchor breathing. The first are your nostrils, so you can focus on air going in through the nose and out through the nose. You can focus on your chest, rising and falling. Or you can focus on your belly, filling and emptying with air. So take a moment to think which one feels most natural to you. And again, closing your eyes or staring a few feet in front of you, we'll give this a try. And we'll do it for a few breaths. Normally at home you do this for an extended period, but for here today we'll just do a couple breaths together. So breathing in and out. In and out. And take a couple breaths on your own. And I invite you now to keep your eyes closed, and I'm going to do an affirmation piece with everybody. You're in this space and you are present. You are successful, you are strong, you are brave, you are happy, you are present. I invite you to, in your minds, repeat after me. I am successful, I am strong, I am brave, I am happy, I am present. I invite you to take your left hand and just hover it just above your heart. And in your mind, picture who you are today. And I invite you to repeat after me in your mind. I am who I know myself to be today. And bring your hand a little bit away from your body now, still hovering above your heart. And imagine in your mind who you want to become. You may not know what this person looks like. You may not know what this exactly is going to be, but know that you're going to be greater than who you are today. And I invite you to repeat after me in your mind. I am greater than I know myself to be. And bringing your hand down to your thighs. And taking a few big deep breaths. And bringing your awareness back into the space. And opening your eyes. And I want to thank everybody here today for letting me share all of this with you. I'm very grateful to be here. And I hope that what I shared with you today inspires you in some way. Thank you.